Today we are talking about all the things, and I am answering all of your questions.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on.
I ask you guys on Facebook, Instagram, and my community page on my channel to give me all your questions so that I could film a Q&A for you guys. And I am super excited to do that. So I always get lots of great questions in the comments, or people will email me or even ask me out in public at people that I know or that watch the channel, and they have lots of questions, and I thought usually I answer them in the comments, but I thought it would be fun to kind of put them all in one place for right now. Do a Q&A, and then this could be something that we kind of do every now and then over time, and it would be fun to just hear what you guys have to ask. You guys had lots of great questions, so let's get started. Okay, our first question is from Jade18E on YouTube. It says, "Hi Kim, I thought of a few in general questions. How do you manage things like one-on-one time with the kids? Do you save for things like birthdays, Christmas? What is your approach? And do your teens have an idea of what's next for them approaching finishing school?" Okay, great questions, Jade. So the first one, how do you manage things like one-on-one time with the kids? So this is something that I used to struggle with, and I guess we kind of have seasons of it. Right now we're in a season where it just sort of all works out naturally. My oldest two kids, Malachi and Bella, who are 17 and 16, they are both in sports. So my son Malachi plays basketball, Bella plays volleyball. Because of their schedules, it's often best for a parent to take them to their practices, or just one parent maybe to go to a game. We do try to bring all of the kids to like local games. But when they have to travel for a game, especially if there's like a hotel involved or things that's going to require eating out and all of that, because it adds up so quickly, usually just one parent goes. So Bella, when she was playing travel volleyball, she was traveling a lot, like 3 out of every 4 weekends a month was traveling, and each time was in a hotel for 2 to 3 days. So Mike and I would take turns. Every other trip one of us would go, and so that gave us like a lot of really good quality time with our teens, and same for Malachi. And it was just became a really special time that Mike and I both looked forward to, because we got to do things that we wouldn't normally get to do, like going out to a nicer meal because there was only 2 of us, hanging out in the hotel. Bella and Mike, I should say, have shows that they like to watch together. And so when they would go, they would usually like finish the games, go out and have a dinner together, come back to the hotel and watch their shows until they didn't, they had to go to sleep basically. And Bella and I would do some shopping, and Malachi and I will do the same thing. And Malachi and Mike would do the same thing. Also, Mike was an assistant coach. Mike coached Malachi's team for many years when we lived in Michigan. When we moved to Knoxville, they already had a coach, so Mike became the assistant coach, and that gave a lot of one-on-one time with him and Malachi. Our younger kids, how we approach that is that typically when one of us has to run an errand, we will take a different child each time, and we try to just rotate the kids and make sure that everyone's getting out. And then what we try to do, it doesn't always have to involve money, but usually, like if I am taking Lincoln grocery shopping with me, usually him and I will either grab like a quick lunch together, or if we've eaten before we left, which we try to do, we might swing by and grab an ice cream together, or something small that we can just sit and have one-on-one time for a few minutes. And we try to do that with each of the kids. The littler kids, we often have one-on-one time with them in the home, or we will take them to a park and just try to just make them feel special. So we always try to carve out different ways to spend one-on-one time with our kids. But again, there are seasons in life where things are just difficult, or the ages are more difficult or harder to do that, and so we just do the best we can, and we just always try to squeeze it in when we can. Let's see, next part of that question was, let's see here, I lost my page. Okay. How do you save for things like birthdays and Christmas, and what is your approach? So we do save for those things. At the beginning of the year, usually like end of December, I kind of go through and write a new budget for our family for the year. And we try to take into account all of the things. So all of the birthdays, I will add up all the birthdays in our family, our immediate family, and then all of the birthdays that we tend to buy for, like certain cousins or my parents or Mike's parents, things like that. And we will add it all in, and we will set a budget for each one. And then I take that number and divide it by 12 months. And that's how much I set aside each month. So usually we will have a couple months at a time where we don't have a birthday. So that budget is accruing, if that makes sense. And then when there is a birthday, the money is there. We do the exact same thing for Christmas. Mike and I usually go over, talk about what our budget is going to be per child. Usually our older kids have a slightly larger budget than our younger kids because the things that they enjoy now are more expensive. So you could spend $200 on an older child and they might get one item, whereas $200 on, a 4 or 5-year-old to us would be excessive. They don't need that much stuff because their items are much cheaper, and we like to keep things minimalistic in our home as far as toys and the things that we bring in. So together we just sit down and we talk about what we feel is reasonable based on the economy, based on how we're doing financially, and based on our kids' likes and interests, and we set that budget. And same thing, we total that up for everyone that we purchase for, and divide it over 12 months to make sure that we have everything that we need when the time comes. Okay, do your teens have an idea of what's next for them approaching finishing school? I got this question a lot of times, actually. And so, yes, they both have ideas of what they would like to do. I try to be cautious because I don't want them to have an idea and really be into that idea, and then if they change their mind, or God changes their path in life, I don't want them to feel obligated or like they would let me down if they change their choices or anything like that. But right now, and for a while, for years actually, Bella has planned and dreamed to be a doctor. So she has different ideas of exactly where in that field she would like to work. Over the last year or so, she's done a lot of research, a lot of studying on really kind of trying to hone in what direction she would like to go with that. And right now, I believe her dream is to be an anesthesiologist. And so that is something that she is working very hard in school for. She is working very hard in sports for, because her goal would be to receive an academic scholarship to help her with that. So we have always been really serious about teaching our children to hopefully stay debt-free for their entire life. So Mike and I are not those parents that believe that college is a requirement. In fact, we discourage college in our home unless it is really going to benefit your career. So what I mean by that, I don't think there's anything wrong with college. I do not want our children feeling that they need to go to college to uphold some standard set by the world or us or anyone else in their lives just for the sake of going to college, just to say that they did. I know too many people who have thousands and thousands or $100,000 or more between the spouses in college debt, and many of them are not doing anything at all in the field that they got a degree in. So meaning the job that they have, they could have achieved that job and that level that they are at in that job without that college education. So now they're paying the equivalent of mortgages or multiple mortgages and student loan debt every month, and they're not really using it. And so that is what I do not want my children to do. I do not want them to start their life in debt. I feel like it's a really bad place to start life, especially in this day and age where things are already difficult, and finances seem to be changing frequently with our economy. And so we have really tried to instill in them a desire to not ever be in debt. And so because of that, Bella is really working hard for a scholarship. Hopefully a full ride would obviously be ideal. And then we told her that we would try to help her, if she was able to get a large part of that covered and needed help with the rest. But really, I would rather them not do that. So that is what she is hoping and dreaming of right now. She also has an interest in cosmetology. So we were thinking about possibly putting her in a cosmetology school in Knoxville. As she finishes high school, like throughout high school, the last 2 years that she has, so that she could go ahead and get licensed that way. And that maybe that would be like a side hustle for her throughout college. That would kind of give her an income, and she could do like out of her dorm or her home or wherever she was living. As far as Malachi has had a long-time girlfriend, and she lives here in Michigan. Our families are very close. I do believe that it is probably the person that the Lord has for Malachi to marry. And so his desire right now, he is also pursuing basketball, possibly for a scholarship would be his dream. And then he is really has more of an entrepreneurship mind. So he really wants to start his own business, and he has multiple different things that he is kind of working on and has been working on. And I don't want to say exactly what that is just yet, but I believe that he will be successful with that, and he will more than likely wind up moving back to Michigan to be with his girlfriend, possibly wife someday. So great questions. All right. The next question that I have is from Shirley Roach 2474 here on YouTube, and she says, Kim, you are always so honest about your life that it's hard to think of a question to ask you, but here it goes. Thank you, Shirley. That's so sweet. How hard is it to find time for you and your husband to enjoy time together alone without the interruption of your children? So that's a very valid question. We have 9 children, and obviously they are always with us. So we homeschool. My husband works from home, and we just do a lot together in our home, and we enjoy that. However, it is important that as a husband and wife, we spend time together, and that we make time to set aside to do things together where we can be alone and uninterrupted. Just even for conversation is so nice. And so that is something that we have really always made a priority. When we lived in Michigan, we did have both sets of our parents nearby. We also had siblings, each other's siblings, who we could do trade-offs with. And that we did that a lot. Hey, I'll watch your kids this weekend if you can watch ours next weekend. And we would do things like that. When that was not available to us and there were seasons where it wasn't, we would try to hire somebody as a babysitter. So usually that person came from church, like a teen that we knew from church, or our co-op that our kids go to, like our homeschool co-op. And we would just pay them to come. And there are times where we had more money and times when we had less money. And often we had such great babysitters that they would just say, just pay us whatever you can. And so it kind of worked out. Sometimes they might get $20 and sometimes they might get $50. And they were always just so gracious and kind to us to do that. There has also been seasons where we have not had any help, really. And so in those times we would try to put the kids down, and maybe we would go outside and have something special, like a special snack or a special meal, and we would have like a fire, sit around the fire pit, or do something like that together, or just do something, one of our favorite treats, and turn on a movie and do that on the couch. So there's lots of different ways, but I do believe that if the parents are strong, the children will be strong. And it's very important, and it's easy to put our children first all the time. But we have to remember that if we're not nurturing the relationship at the top, then everything else underneath that will crumble. And so we are firm believers in that, and we really try to set aside time for that. There's been seasons of our life where it was every week we were able to do that. There's been other seasons where it was every other week, and honestly at times once a month. Now that we have teenagers, we have a lot more flexibility with this and a lot more freedom, because if our teens are not busy with their own things, jobs or sports, then they are available to us. And we do often pay our teens to watch the kids, or if there's something they've been wanting and we have the means to do so, we might pick that up for them, or say, hey, next time we're out we'll grab this for you and thank you. But also I think it's important for them to just help because they live there, and it's a way for them to give back to their parents. So that is how we handle that. Another question is from Kate's Catch here on YouTube, and she said, are you planning on buying a house with land? Yes, Kate, we definitely are. Our house in Michigan, we had a large home here on 5 acres, and we absolutely loved it. However, the property here, a lot of it was wooded. I would say probably 2/3 of it was wooded, and then about 1/3 of it was open. And we had chickens and goats, and let's see, what else do we have? Chickens, goats. Is that it? Maybe that was it. And we love that. And so our ideal situation would be to purchase a piece of property and either build a home on that and start like a small hobby farm, or purchase a home that's already on a piece of property. But yes, city living is not, it's not for us. It's not what we love. We really want to raise animals. We have tried always to live like a self-sufficient lifestyle. So gardening, we used our goats for milk and butter and soap, and our chickens, we sold their eggs. We had meat birds. We used the eggs. So we really would like to kind of go into that further. We would like to have a cow. We would like to have pigs. So yeah, definitely property is in our future, Lord willing, and hopefully sometime soon. So we have been looking in the entire state of Tennessee, and just prices right now are crazy. We made a pretty good profit off of our home that we sold here in Michigan, and we have saved that. So our goal is also to do something debt-free. So we want to model that example for our children the best we can, and so that is our goal. Our home is something we would be willing to have a little debt on, but we're going to try to avoid it if everything works according to plan. So because of that, we are really kind of waiting for the right property and the right price, and hoping that it all just falls into place. Next question here, I don't have the username, is what birth experience was your favorite and why? So my first 6 births were in a hospital, and my 7th, 8th, and 9th babies were born at home, at our home in Michigan, in the bathtub, in the master bath. So I would have to say that my 6th was probably the most empowering. It's because I had really wanted a home birth for several years, but it wasn't something that at the time my husband felt comfortable doing, because our home wasn't like really close to a hospital, and it just made him nervous. And so I respected that, and we did hospital births. However, there were some things that happened with the birth of our 6th child, Olive, in the hospital that kind of changed his heart on some of that. And so he agreed, yes, we can have some midwives come out to the house and we'll meet with them, when I was pregnant with our 7th. And he said, we'll just pray about it and see how it goes. And so we had a midwife come. We both fell in love with her. We felt a peace from the Lord about it. We felt very comfortable. I had had no health issues for many pregnancies. And so we pursued with the home birth. And that was super empowering. Just the whole experience was wonderful from start to finish. I would have to say that probably my favorite birth, if I had to put a finger on one, would be our 8th daughter, or our 8th child, our daughter Raven, because the whole experience was very cool. When I went into labor, I didn't actually know that I was in labor, and I know that that's crazy, but I really felt like I was just having some stomach pains. It didn't feel to me like what contractions had always felt like to me. And so I probably waited longer than I should have to call the midwife. Because of that, I wound up delivering her alone, like on my own. Mike caught her in the tub, and she was born in the sack. So that was really cool. It did burst like after she came out. So we weren't able to get like photographs or anything like that, but it was such a neat experience, the whole thing. And it just was so cool that it was just Mike and I there in our home. and doing that together. And of course that there was like some fear involved too. And if you guys are interested in those stories, I can make a whole nother video on that. But it was a wonderful experience, and seeing a baby born in the sack was really the coolest thing ever. So that would probably be my favorite. Okay, and then what was the other one here? Will you ever get a pet? So yes, I hope so. We are not pet people per se, because we have a lot of kids, and so we already have a lot of responsibility. And for years I have always said nothing else that poops because we have a lot of that too. But now that we're not having any more new babies, and our children are getting a little bit older, I do hope to have a dog when we buy our property and build, or our home, or however that works out for us. So I would love to have a dog. Mike and I had a dog, a golden retriever, our first few years of marriage, until Malachi and Bella, after they were born. And we loved that dog so much, and I would love to get another golden retriever. So our kids really, really, really want a dog. But obviously our situation right now with traveling and then renting a home, we just feel like it wouldn't be the best time for that. We really want to invest in a pet when we get one, and train it and love on it and really be there, and not to have to move it around constantly. So yes, definitely hoping to get a pet here in the future. Let's see. The other one says, this one is from Nicole. It says, the kids are growing up so fast, and before you know it, kids will be headed to college, if they choose to, of course. But the question is, would you want them to stay local or venture out if they wanted to? Great question. So yes, my mama heart, I want my kids close to me. I always will. They know this. However, I am doing my best to raise my kids to be free thinkers, to be independent, and most importantly, to follow the Lord's will for their life. So I know that maybe it's the Lord's plan for them to be close to us, and that would be wonderful, and that would be my ideal dream. However, I do not, as a parent, ever want to hold my children back from anything that the Lord has for them. And I don't want to hold them back from achieving their own dreams and desires and experiences because of me. So yes, I would love, love, love if they stayed close to me, but I am preparing my heart that with 9 children, that will probably not happen, at least maybe not at first. So I do believe that some of my children will probably take the college path, and they may or may not be away from us depending on where and if they get accepted for different scholarships, and that maybe someday the Lord will bring them back to us if that's the case. And if not, I am thankful for this RV that we have, and that we can pack everyone up and we can go to them if we need to. Let's see. This one is from Alicia. It says, how do you stay organized with 9 kids? I feel overwhelmed with 1 kid. I understand, Alicia. When I had 1 kid, I also had moments of feeling overwhelmed, for sure. And I think that's totally normal. I have always said that once you have more than 2 children, it really doesn't matter how many you have, because you're outnumbered as parents. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's also, I believe I spoke about in one of my other videos, that as I have more kids, and we use a buddy system, and so we try to really work together to serve each other and to help each other out, and to be a team unit in this home where everything is not my responsibility as a mom. I think that's really important, to raise capable kids, to teach our children how to work and how to clean up after themselves, and how to put in effort in our home to help us, so that it's not all on us. As far as staying organized, I can't lie. I am by nature a very organized person. That is how I feel I am living my best life. I have a clear head when things around me are organized. We try to live by a couple rules, and I'm hoping to make a video of this, so I don't want to give everything away, but my mom was very organized and very clean, and so I kind of grew up that way. I know people who that is not how they grew up, and they have had to learn different techniques for themselves and for their family. But one thing I will say is it's really important, and something my mom said, and I've heard a million times, is that everything needs to have a place and everything needs to be in its place. And that's something that we try to help our children with. If they tend to have clutter on, I have one child whose bed is always full of stuff. And so something I try to do is say, okay, why is this stuff here? Is it because you don't have a proper place for it? Like maybe we need to work on a storage solution for you. Is the closet not working for you? What is the deal? Why is this stuff here? And occasionally it's just because maybe they were feeling lazy and they didn't want to do it and they didn't want to put their stuff away. And I understand that. I have those moments too. But often it's because they'll say to me, I don't really have a place for it. And so at that point, then we have to figure out, do you not have a place for it because you have too many items that you have to manage? Or do you not have a place for it because the space that we're working with, we haven't given you a proper space for it? And so we just kind of go from there, and we try to eliminate those issues. And we do that all throughout our life with every single one of us who live in the home. When there becomes clutter, and sometimes it's just natural clutter, like in the kitchen, where if there's a flat surface, people like to lay all their stuff there. And so if those things already have a place, I will take those things to that person and say, hey, these already have a place where they go. Could you please put them where they belong instead of on the counter, because it causes clutter. If it doesn't have a place, again, we start that whole process. Why does it not have a place? What can we do about it? Do we have too much of this? And so on and so forth. So I think it's really a constant work in progress to be organized with children, along with teaching our children that it is important to be organized and live tidy, and everyone really thrives in an environment where things are organized and tidy. And that's just the way I feel about it. Okay, let's see. This one is from Jenna. It says, what are your long-term plans for your family? Buy a house, travel full-time again, or where you'll live? Great question, Jenna. So I kind of touched on that. We really love Tennessee. We really love Tennessee, and I think we would be very happy in Tennessee. We're hoping to, like I said, buy a property with a home, or buy a property and build a home. And Tennessee is kind of our ideal location. We have not, sorry, I'm going to have to turn this off here. We have not found anything. We haven't been successful with that yet, but we are not giving up on Tennessee. If another property or home were to open up to us, and maybe it was in a different state, we would also be willing to go there and see and learn about that. So it's not Tennessee or bust. I wouldn't say that, but we have some requirements, and that I really want to live somewhere where it's warm most of the year, not like Florida where it's hot. My kids really do enjoy the seasons. They're used to that from Michigan. They enjoy a little bit of cold. They enjoy the fall. And I truthfully don't mind it either, but I do not want to live in a place where it snows for months on end and is cold. I don't enjoy that anymore. And so as far as that, we also would love to continue traveling. It depends. If we get a property and a farm, we would have to limit how often we can travel. For now, our thought process is that we would just kind of take trips throughout the year, and then possibly in the summer, like we're doing this summer, maybe hit the road for 1 to 3 months at a time and do like bigger trips or larger adventures that maybe take a longer time. So her other question was, let's see. What are each child's chores and responsibilities? So also great question. We do have a system that we follow. I also am going to do a video about this, but I will just kind of briefly tell you that we do have a system that we follow. I write it out once a month, and that is the chores that we stick to. I believe that 3 and up is perfectly capable of helping out in this home. In fact, our 2-year-old is often one of our best cleaners as far as picking things up and returning them to where they belong. She's really, really good about it, and she loves it. And I think that's a good trick, is teaching them young and really praising them when they do that, when they put something away, when they help you clean, when they want to be a helper, and praising them, I think, helps them to grow up and want to continue to do that. Also, there's been times when we have paid our children for chores. There's been a lot of times where we haven't. And so that's a whole thing I'll put in a video. But our children, our oldest 3 children have like dinner chores, what we call like our meal jobs. And so those go on a monthly rotation. One child is responsible for the dishes. One child is responsible for the table. So that means setting the table and clearing the table after a meal. And one child is responsible for the floors. And that's all like circles around the 3 meals each day. And so those go on a monthly rotation. And then, you know, at the new month, they all roll over to the next job. So I think chores are important. I am a big believer that kids should be helping in the home. So yes, they definitely have a system. Okay, let's see. Okay, what board games, card games do you like to play with your kids? Good question. We love games in our family. We do not play them as much as we should, like as a family unit. We often play them like if we have friends over or we're camping. We love games. And so some of our games that we're really into right now is Ticket to Ride. Love that game. It's really fun. We also have Ticket to Ride Junior, I believe it is. So for the younger kids, like which would mostly be for like our 4-5-year-old probably. We found that even the 5 and up can really play the regular Ticket to Ride. It's pretty easy concept. The Ticket to Ride Junior is more for non-readers, so you don't have to be able to read to play that one. They color code things and do it with shapes. Really fun game. Another game that we love is Catan, and we have like several of the expansion kits for that, Seafarers, and different ones. And so Catan is a game that we really love. It's also a game that our children really love and that they will play with their friends. I grew up on a game called Wahoo, which is very similar to like Sorry. Our whole family loves that. If you are from Michigan, you know that Euchre is a card game. That's another game that we really love, but is not always as easy to play because usually people outside of Michigan do not know that game. And then last one I'll give you guys is we just found a new game here at this campground we're at right now. A friend brought it. It is called Skyjo, Skyjo. Card game, super fun. Another game that we found out is a blast for adults and also for children. So I think the youngest one that's played with us since we've been here is maybe 6 and could totally catch on to the concept. And I love games that are not like child games. They're not like baby games, or I don't know how you say it. I like games that adults can play on their own and enjoy just as much as when the children join us. So those are all really great games for things like that. Okay, I think I'm going to do one more question and then I will save the rest of these. You guys gave me a lot of great questions and I really appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, the last question I have is, what is your favorite part of being a mama to 9 kiddos and your least favorite part? So I think my favorite, this is really hard because there's so many different stages and different things that I love throughout each stage. Like with my teenagers, I've told you guys that I really love the conversations I get to have with them when I really get to see who they are as people. I love to hear about their dreams and their goals and just their thought process on things, and even like with regards to their faith and how they are learning and how the Lord is using them in different ways and teaching them. I just love that. And with younger kids like Gigi's age, she's just so fun. Everything is so fun and everything is new, and they're almost always happy and they love to cuddle, and there's just so many great things throughout all of the stages that it's hard to say a favorite. But I think probably my favorite thing about being a mom to 9 is I absolutely love when our whole family is together and having fun. There is just no greater feeling. I love that my kids will have best friends for life, and lots of them. Growing up, it was just my brother and I, and we are 16 months apart, and we are super, super close. But I do think about that if someday something were to happen to one of us, that we don't have, all of these siblings. And so I think my favorite part is just all of us being together and having fun. When we all get together and watch a movie and we're laughing, or we're playing a game, or we're dancing in the kitchen after a meal while we're cleaning up. Like, those are the best times. And I will forever be grateful that I have these children in my life, and that I was so incredibly blessed to be their mom. I can't say it enough. I just love these kids. My least favorite is probably the noise, hands down. It gets loud, you guys. It gets loud, like in our house. 11 people. All of our children are very strong-willed. My husband and I are very strong-willed. So we all have a lot of opinions about how things should be. We all lean on the type A personality. So we all like things a certain way. And my husband's Italian, so my kids are half Italian, and they're loud. And just to be heard, even if you're not like doing anything bad, or you're not trying to be loud, just all of those people, we make a lot of noise. And I'm totally aware of that. And I growing up, I was like a loner, and I enjoyed, even as a kid, I remember like I would be playing with my friends outside, and then I would want to come inside, and I would go in my room where it was nice and quiet, and I would play or read by myself. And I could do that for hours before I felt the need to like join other people again. And even though I have 9 children, and I have been a mom now for, almost 18 years, I still value the quiet and being alone. And so I get overstimulated and overtouched, just like most mamas at the end of the day. And so that noise sometimes is just like, oh my gosh. And I have to go for a walk, or I will go in the room and tell my husband, I need like 10 minutes, just of quiet so I can think, and then I can come back and be refreshed. So probably the noise would be my least favorite part. But then I also have to say that sometimes the noise is just such a good feeling too, and my sister-in-law has always said this, that she has 2 children. And she says, when I come to your house, it's always so loud, and I love it. And I love the whole, energy here with everyone moving and doing something constantly. She's like, but then when I get home and it's quiet, she's like, I love that too. And so I totally understand. My brother used to say the same thing. Like before he had kids and he would come to our house, he would say, I can only stay here for a few hours because it's so loud. And I used to think, what? We're like not even that loud, And then now that he has kids, and his girls are loud too, and they come over, and it's like neither one of us notice the noise anymore, But I do value the quiet. So thank you guys so much for your questions. This was really fun to share with you guys. I love seeing your all the things you're curious about. If you would like to continue to send questions for that, you can do that in the comments or any of those locations, Instagram, Facebook, or the community page. And always leave your question, and you could just put Q&A on it, and I will save that for the next Q&A video. I really enjoy doing this. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps me know what you guys like. And if you are not subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you will get notified every time I make new content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. I appreciate you, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.